So I want to talk about robotics. I never worked with robotics until once now, and it was sometimes more difficult. So virtual agent can somehow do any gestures, we don't care about physics, nothing like that. But virtual agents have more sophisticated behaviors. You can simulate facial expressions, very subtle one. You can simulate body movement, etc. There is pro and cons. And since I'm in a robotic lab since a year or so, I guess I will have to work with robots one day or another. So I'm going to present some of the work we've been conducted just now. So the aim in my work, this many times, is to build those embodied conversational agents where we try to simulate really cognitive with a comma around that and expressing human capabilities. And in my lab, we're working a lot on the non-verbal means. That means we don't work really, we don't know much how to handle language per se. We don't know how to model dialogue. We've been collaborating with people. And over the year, we've been trying to simulate and that the agent display a wide range of social emotional behaviors in a sense, so it becomes socially aware and emotionally competent. So that is the main direction we want to do. And depending on the project we part in, the agent will be used in various applications. But we don't focus on one given application for us. So the approach we do is very classical. I mean, it's what a lot of people in our field are doing. We study human-human interaction. To do that, we look into literature in psychology, linguistics, and things like that. And we acquire databases. We do multi-level analysis. We build a model and we evaluate it. And we look continuously. So over the year, we've been working on acquiring different databases because often when you want to study a phenomenon, it's not so easy to get it. So at one point we work on laughters. Gerard mentioned it. And you have laughters everywhere. But laughter is extremely complex. And when you start to study one phenomenon, you better narrow it down. So when we work on laughter, it was an EU project. We work on just hilarious laughters, where you have so many different functions of laughters. So rather than looking in all the existing databases where you can have those hilarious laughters, we had to build ours. It took us almost a year to get it. Because laughter, first of all, we did a mistake, is social. You can't ask a poor student with all the vocab around it, laugh. Making the jokes, you have all the seniors looking at the juniors, looking at him. It won't work. There's no way. I mean, and as soon as we turn off the mocap systems, because it's starting to be really interactive, social interactions, laughter started again. So we had to redo completely the settings where we put several people together. And here we have a lot of laughter. And again, it's just one particular signals, hilarious laughter. Look how complex it is. You have a lot of gaze happening between the participants. You see, they're pointing at each other. You have the full body moves. Okay. They'll be doing reaction, etc. You can imagine that at the end of the 3-year project, we didn't get it. I mean, we just couldn't make it work so well. We had to put the green balls and the other because the mocap system, even though it had several sensors in here. In fact, we were doing just linear interpolation. We learned about it when we built the systems. We also work on trying to characterize emotional expressivity behaviors in different actions. So when we work about emotions, it's also very difficult to get natural data. I mean, no more you are allowed to put a camera in the wild and record the data. It used to be like that, the 80s, but now it's forbidden. Okay, we have ethical things. So you have to find other way of capturing data, especially when you want to have good data. I mean, behavior data. You again need to have often mock-up data. So you have different ways of inducing emotion into as the agent or by building scenario. So for example, for this databases, it's valuable. You can find it. I think all of them, those are valuable, either on my website or some other website. You can pick scenarios, and we practice with a real theater or actor then, where we train those young actors to practice, to show the different simple emotion. I mean, moving books, knocking at the door, sitting down, and things like that. It's very, very simple that you find a lot in psychology, those type of actions. That do that. But it took, again, the PhD student a year of gathering these databases. I mean, she was almost crying to that. Because, I mean, you need to clean the data. I mean, it's terrible to do evaluation. And the latest one we've done is a NOXE database, and I'm going to present what we've done with this database. It's here. We tried to have quite expressive data because we wanted to work on interaction, and in particular on how to handle unexpected events. Where here, because it was an EU course 3-4 years ago on how to handle unexpected events. But it's so complex that for us here it was interruption. So you start with a very large topic and you narrow it on just interruption. And the way we've done it, that we ask participants to pair each other's depending on the topic they were interested in. So we had an expert that, for example, he wanted to talk about video games or photos or I don't know, whatever. And another one, a novice, wanted to learn about it. And like that, we could have quite naturalistic data. And at one point, we will interrupt them, so I'm going to show that afterwards.
Parce que à la fois, il y a beaucoup de monde, mais à la fois, c'est splendide parce que t'as devant toi, je ne sais pas combien de litres d'eau qui passent là, tu passes juste en bas et tu vois ces énormes chutes qui tombent devant toi, t'es trempé jusqu'aux os, mais c'est magnifique, quoi.
So we've been looking at these databases for several things. One is on how engaged persons are, and that will be done through perceptive studies. On the level of the perception, of course, of warmth and competence, on social attitude, that's what I'm going to talk about, and also for the communicative gesture. That's something all you robots here are doing a bit nonsense gestures. And I've been working a lot on communicative gestures, so sometimes it should be. I mean, gesture is part of language. It's really have a very strong function. It's a language and carry a lot of informations. And we could see, I mean, if this person was saying the same gesture, same text with the hand here, it wouldn't work. I mean, really, you have. And it was mimicking something which is huge with a full body. And here it was on the Sears games for, it's kind of naturalistic. It was when we recruited Sears games to help youngsters to go for job interviews. So they could train with different type of recruiters, sympathics, not hostile or dominant recruiter. Okay, so, and one thing that we're going to focus is on two elements, social attitude and interruption. So I fully agree, I don't know if this person has been asking questions about what is social synonym, that is still here. This is also our big word, and we're going to do just one tiny aspect of it. Is how can we simulate an agent that can interrupt itself, and how can we simulate an agent that will show or display a variation of attitude. Why suddenly this person appear more friendly or more dominant? Okay, and I'm going to explain. So that was part of the alpha values part. Yesterday we had our final review, and it went very, very well. So I'm quite happy that it's a big relief. So interpersonal attitude. So this part of this project was to simulate an agent with different attitude. And here we had, when we started working on that, we had to change completely our software. Because so far, when we models the non-verbal behavior of a virtual agent, you say this virtual agent have different communicative intentions, and you do a pair, you look in the lexicons, communicative attentions, how it's defined in non-verbal behaviors. For example, didactic, you point, you gaze, and say like that, or you do like that. You have different ways of doing it. But when you work on social attitude, what you find out is that it's a style. A style, that means that it colors the whole communication. So it's not shown by just one behaviors, but by sequences of behaviors. Okay? So here what we wanted to do is that we wanted to capture the sequences of behaviors that will convey a different attitude or variation of attitude. So that means that we have our agent to, when you compute the behavior of our agent, to compute that sequences of multimodal behaviors. So here we study the variation, how an agent appears more dominant or more friendly, and we use some models to extract the sequences of multimodal behaviors, and we apply the temporal sequence mining behaviors. I forgot to mention that to represent the attitude, we realize on the interpersonal complex models, which is the 2D models, where we have a dimension of friendliness and a dimension of dominance. It's a classic model for attitude. So we went back to the Noxy databases and we performed different annotation. On one hand, we had the continuous annotations where we asked participants as they view the videos to annotate how they perceived the person on the videos on the level, for example, here of friendliness. So -1 is more of hostile, +1 is more friendly, or at the level of dominance, submitted dominant. Okay? And it goes on as it goes. So it is a continuous annotation. And we also annotated discrete information, which are the multimodal level. Is there a smile? Is there a head shakes? Is there certain gestures, rest position, and things like that. And here we were interested in the variation. So we looked at what is happening when there's an increase or a decrease. We looked at what are the signals that triggers this change of perceptions on the attitude of cognition. And we extracted the patterns of multimodal behaviors that arise at this moment. And for that, we applied a given algorithm, HCA a priori algorithm, to extract those parameters. And we obtain the more recurrent sequences of multimodal behaviors that will characterize this variation of attitude. Once we have that, and it's where we become sometimes a little bit fuzzy, we want to have the agent. Oh, I forgot to mention that we evaluated this model, and I'll show you in 2 minutes how we do it. But once it's evaluated, we want to have the agent to convey a communicative intention, for example, to say something, but with a variation of attitude. And when you want to have that, I must admit it's a bit kitchen. Not is fully agree on that, but after we evaluated it. You want, for example, that it says, to begin with, let's introduce myself. So find out with which nonverbal behavior is going to convey this type of information. And after, you want to say it with a given attitude. So we looked at for the sequences that best match those two information, communicative intentions and variation of attitude. And after some merging and some selection of behaviors. Okay? So for example, we will add some rest position here and some posture shift, and after we can instantiate some facial expression by other facial expression. But it absolutely needs evaluation. And this, when you look for the literature, there's absolutely no information in the literature about this type of model. Because psychology will be interested either on attitude or people working on communicative behaviors. They're not so much into matching. So when you build models, you sometimes have to say, as I said, the kitchen type of things, but it has to be evaluated. So the way we do it is to do through evaluation studies where we show different examples of videos. So here you have a dominance decrease. So you will be seeing in both examples the same sentence, and the only variation that was given to the input is here you have a dominance decrease for the social attitude, here dominance increase. And you see the change in the behaviors of the virtual agent.
In your previous professional experiences, what made you the most proud? In your previous professional experiences, what made you the most proud?
So there was a change of behavioral expressivity, movement with larger expressivities. There was a change in rest position, a change in facial expressions. And we asked participants first to characterize what is called neutral behaviors, that means the agent showing just the community behaviors. And after, since we're interested into the variation of the attitude, we did a comparison task. And we asked people to evaluate how they compare the neutral video with the variation of attitude. And for that, we asked the participants, we had 64 participants, to evaluate the performance of the agent using along the dimension of that. But we use the Leary adjectives. Leary's have defined a set of adjectives that will characterize the octant along the 2D space of the social attitude. And what we have here to read this graph is that green will be positive correlation, red will be negative correlation. So in the video showing, for example, dominance increase, the agent was perceived as being more forceful compared to the neutral one, more aggressive, more arrogant, more defiant, more distant, and less warm, less helpful, less cheerful. And here is the same with friendliness display. What we can see in both of those graphs, and we've seen that in all the different conditions we looked at, is that when we do a change in one dimension, here is dominance increase. So we should have seen, we were expecting to see variation only in these two octants. In fact, there's a very strong correlation of a change in perception in the other dimension. So it's like the two dimensions, dominance and friendliness, are not orthogonal in the perception. A change in one dimension will affect the perception in the other dimension. So that was this finding is very recurrent in our study on social perception, social attitude perception. Okay, the next step, because that is really, as you can see, this model is only on the agent. Of course, it has to be put in interaction. So I did that in interaction, but at the same time, the virtual agent will not adapt in real time to the behaviors of the other one. So we really have to change our models so that it becomes really dyadic models. So it takes into account when it performs, when it computes, which sequences of behaviors to be shown, that it takes into account what the other one is doing, to ensure to have proper gaze models, mimicry, and also maybe looks at the notion of engagement. But that means that we have to redo these models that were to put the agent into an interaction. And that brings me to the second study that we've done, which is on interruption. Interruptions is often viewed as being, I interrupt you, I'm dominant. Yeah, you talk, I'm dominant. But when you listen to friends, kids talking, they interrupt a lot. And it's really not because, they want to take the time. No, they're completely engaged in the conversation. So interruption may not be always the same. I'm the boss, I talk, listen. No, it's not at all that. So we really wanted to look at this notion of interaction. Could it enhance involvement and promote interest, okay? So there's different ways of claiming the terms, and as I say, it's not always associative dominant, and it can depend on the interaction types and the interaction strategies. Okay? So, in this project, we looked at 3 aspects. First, we looked at classifying and studying the different type of interactions, then at predicting when the user is going to interact, and of course, how the agent react to users' interactions. What we haven't done now is how the agent interact the users, because it needs much further work on that. So, for that, to define the interruption types, we based the categorization on timing and overlaps of turns, and looking at Beatty's work, we looked at 3 different types of interruption: silent interruptions, when there's no overlaps, simple interaction when you have a short overlaps, or when you have full overlap. For the strategies, we consider 2 types of strategies: disruptive and cooperative strategies. For the cooperative strategies, the interruption will be intended to help the speakers by coordinating the process, finishing up his sentences, helping him to find what he's going to say, or saying, oh yeah, it's really nice what you say, and things like that. For disruptive interruptions, it can be said, I know what you're going to say. Well, you don't need to say that. And you will say like that, or you can even change the topic of a conversation. So,
I've read the book Alice in Wonderland.
So, we wanted to understand how the different types of interruption would act on the impact of the perception of the virtual agent along the social attitude. So we wanted to see if a disruptive, long overlap interaction, how would it be perceived? Would it be perceived as the agent being dominant or submissive and things like that? So we conducted an evaluation studies where we vary the different types of strategies and different types of interaction along with those silhouettes, because we really didn't want to look at genre that is very strong impact on the perception of the interaction or sometimes the level of dominance. So we said, okay, we done that, we have those 2 silhouettes. We didn't look like that at the non-verbal behaviors. And we asked participants to look at the different examples of the videos and evaluate how the interactive agent was perceived along the attitude dimension. For example, the dominance, it was, does the agent try to control the interactions or seem insecure, or try to be likable, or expresses hostility? At the level of engagement, what values the right agent attribute of being together or of continuing the interaction, and for the involvement, how engaging was interaction for the right agent. Okay. So let me show you an example of what you see.
You know, I've read the book Alice in Wonderland. It tells an amazing story about a little Wonderland theme park.
Okay. So, and you see, I don't know if you notice it, the same voice, same silhouette. Exactly. Okay? Nobody noticed it. Nobody, at least when we make the things, make it notice. Because, I mean, somehow...
You have read the book Alice in Wonderland. It tells an amazing story about a little Wonderland theme park.
It's the same vocal. Because we didn't want to add any further parameters. What we found is that depending on the interruption type, if it is longer overlaps, it will appear more dominant and less friendly, while if it is a cooperative strategies interaction, it will increase the impression of the agent being engaged and involved. Okay. So the next step was to predict when users would start interacting. And the way we've done that is by looking at the corpora and the NOXI database. So the NOXI, as I mentioned, is a quite large database where you have expert and novice that try to exchange topic of information, topic of interest. And the way it is done, because we wanted to somehow simulate the interaction between a user and an agent which is projected on the screen. The interaction is a mediated interaction, so it's through a screen. So you have the two humans that are in two rooms, but they're projected on a large screen, so it's almost full-size projections. Okay? So we had 18 sessions of diadic, novice and expert. It's like 25 hours of data, and we had 8 languages, different type of languages, mainly English, French, and Germans. And you can download the data from this website. And we do have some metadata also on that, looking in particular at the relationship between the interactant. So, to study these interactions, we did some annotation, and we were able to do some automatic annotation. 24 hours is a bit long to annotate. And but some others we were not able to do it automatically. So we could automatically annotate the type of transition, if there was an overlap, or if it was a pause, or if it was perfect transitions, by just looking at voice activity detections and finding out who has the turns and if there is a change of within turns. But for the types of interruptions, we had to do it manually. So we went and checked in the data when there is an interruption, and have to go and manually. And for do that, we use a Nova annotation tool, which is also publicly available at the University of Oxford, which is a really very good annotation tool that can do a lot of automatic annotation. And we will have this type of information from that you will know when, for example, if there's different communicative states, if they're talking together and all that. When they're talking together, you go and look at the type of transitions and also at the types of interactions. And this type of information is sent to the for the interaction detection modules and also for the dialogue modules. And that was done at the University of Oxford and University of Nottingham. People working on that, and Imperial College, and at the University of Twente, to do the dialogue manager to inform when there is a dialogue, there's an interruption, and how the agent should react. But when you have to react, what does the agent do? Because when you send a movement, I think it's the same about for the blog, but you send him a comments. Do movements. It's not so easy to stop it. At least for our technology, it was not easy to stop the agent. So we had to change again our software to handle the different types of interruptions. And
hello, why?
So we consider different types of the behaviors, and also it's short, long, and that. So here the hard things. Here's an overlap.
My name is Alice.
And you could see that because she wants to maintain the turns, she's doing an overlap. You have more expressivities in the voice, that is the block, the voice synthesizers from Endeavour, and in the gesture. Let me show it to you. And that is done automatically.
Hello, my name is Alice.
Okay. From my names, she will increase voice volumes and voice gesture. And it is a pre-planning.
Hello, my name is. Stop interrupting me.
Okay. So when the dialogue manager send replannings, it can send. And again, here we conducted an evaluation studies where we wanted to characterize the multimodal behaviors for the interaction during different attitudes. How do you react to the being interacted? Okay. And we did a web studies where we looked into again the corpus, the Noxy corpus analysis that we conducted, and we look at which parameters the behavior parameters are involved in when people get interacted. And we found there's smiles, gaze, shoulders movements, some holding gestures, some I think shoulders movement, I think like that, eyebrow movement. We looked at the different values and we designed a new way of building a corpora of those models. And the way we've done it is that we created videos. The participants watched 4 videos at a time of the agent showing different behaviors. And so the users will select, this video looks fine. And after we use the genetic algorithm to generate the next 4 videos that will for enhancing the behavior of the agent. And so far we have 60 participants. And what we found that we looked at friendly and hostile behavior characteristics so far, and that is mainly the facial expression and shoulders movements that we found differences, but not at all in the gesture response. So to conclude here now, so you could see that we've done some work on endowing the agent with the capability to show interactions, but the very, very difficult thing is having the agent being able to interrupt also the users and to know when it should interrupt, which time it should interrupt, should it be cooperative, descriptive, what impact would it have in human and agent interaction, would it be acceptable, and also how the agent would be perceived. And the area values human agent platform is a full interactive human agent platform where you have all the information, you have facial expression analysis, voice analysis, body analysis, dialogue models, and the virtual agent is fully available on GitHub. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your talk. Any questions in the audience? What is the state of the art of the use of these solutions in actual products? Because it's not a field I follow. So in robotics, we look at medium-term future. Is in your case more close?
So there is some application. One, I think the same for you. And one of the main difficulties is meaning, understanding what is being said. And you mentioned it a lot in your talk, and also knowledge. And so this is used quite a lot in serious games, and also I think in-health application. After chatbot, a lot. A lot about
chatbot is completely exploding.
Yeah, chatbot. But with chatbot, the way it's done now, and I don't know if there's people working on chatbot here, but I mean, they put a gesture a bit randomly, and it's not easy to maintain the attention also on that. And the difficulty is to compute automatically the non-verbal behaviors. The communicative gestures, apart from being the emotional signals and like that. Yeah.
But in the chatbots, if they're connected to a microphone, can they detect, for example, that the human is interrupting and make a distinction between a cooperative sentence completion interruption versus
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. But your systems can.
Not really.
Okay.
No.
But you would like to go.
Yeah, we would like to go. Yeah, absolutely.
Because for the real-time interaction, I guess that would be good, but very technically challenging.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because really, when it is interaction, for example, I did it's not because I'm making a sound, it's going to be interruption. It's a back channel. And to detect that you don't want the agent as soon as they gesture. You don't want that. So
but you guys do back channel stuff, right?
Yeah.
In real time.
Yeah, we do. But the same. No, back channels, yeah. Because there's a lot of work on back channeling. You can predict when to put the back channel. Yeah, there is. It has been done since.
We can do.
Yeah. No, sure.
There are still.
Yeah, there's
still
quite
working
a lot of work. Especially because, I mean, if you, for example, disagree, when you pick up disagreement, okay, and you have the agents that should show disagreement, and you cannot show disagreement everywhere at the time. So, yeah, there's still quite a lot of to be done. Back channeling is something, but I mean, it's when you want to look at the difference between back channeling and predictors, the back channel predicts an interaction, is what I meant here, and I don't think that really has been done. Some people work on barging in, and you start it. That would be one thing, but that's it, to be barging type of interaction. I think Microsoft work on it, Dan Boris, we work quite a lot on that.
I think I was just, Marcin Vlodardczak from KTH won this Christian Benoit Prize with a project on interruption. And what is interesting is that he's studying breathing. So because when you are planning to interrupt somebody to take the floor, in fact, before producing a any sound, you normally breathe, and so in fact it could be picked up by the partner, saying this guy wants to talk for a long time. It's not rational, and so react accordingly.
It could be.
It's very interesting. So our robot is breathing. I insisted in interspeech and so on. But speech is first breathing, because with no energy, forget about breathing. And it's adding some naturalness, some humanity to this robotic voice, where a robot can speak forever without taking the. Just listening to robotic voices, sometimes it's completely exhausting.
But I mean, for that, you can also just simply add pauses, and that helps quite a lot. Because when you text, you enter the text of the virtualization, probably on the TTS, it doesn't add pauses, and also because you should know where to add pauses. I mean, you can't put it randomly. And that's when we're able to do the demo, and sometimes we do it manually, but the process manually, it changed completely. Yeah. But to talk about breathing, what do you think? MPEG-4? MPEG-4 doesn't have parameters here. So when we work on laughter, you
don't care about MPEG-4.
But we do. I mean, it's our technology. It's really so.
Yeah, you're working for the future.
Yeah.
No.
We have already talked during the launch cycle, looking back to these things, but we had a similar problem, similar aspect, as I told, on artificial negotiating agent, which has been a project with such kind of what I call avatar, interactive avatars. And one of the problems is the change. It means until the avatar remains in the virtual world, it means game world. But however, when you interact, when you change the world, it means you come out from the virtual environment to the real environment. It means that you have to use some sensor in interaction with the avatar.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt, but please, that was the introduction. No, we do. I didn't present it because it's not my work, but all this work is done with colleagues, and they're working on speech analysis, speech detections, speech recognition, audiovisual. So they have also something from the users.
With such kind of things, you have to read it anyway. No, what I mean is such an agent is a virtual agent. You are agreed. So how you deal with the its interaction with a human, because you have
it's what we're doing. I mean, it's so you have the agent that gets information from the users, being some of the analysis of the users, and you have often. I'm sorry, I thought it would be more. So you have often two types of information: low-level signals and interpretation. As I say, acoustics and visual. So it would be facial expressions, body movements, head movements. Yeah.
So you use a camera and a
Yeah,
microphone.
absolutely.
Okay, that was not.
No, because I focus on the agent. That was this collaborative work. Go and check on this webpage, on this GitHub, and you find other tools. Yeah, we're using SSI, it's Social Signals Interpretation from University of Augsburg. It's a very good tool for doing social signals interpretation.
Yes, I was wondering if I have the feeling that interactive behaviors are completely driven by emotional states. So if you want to engage, it's a way to be empathic. If you want to interact, to dominate, it's a way to. Or is it?
It could be simply because either you're not interested, or you sometimes people have it's what we found a lot is that you're looking for the word and you got the other person got the answer, so you make phrase completion. So it's not always linked to emotions. No. It's it could be if you disagree with that, or then that could be more on the semantic aspect.
But even if you want to engage in a conversation, it's a kind of emotion because it's a way to go to be more empathic or
to have the interaction goes on. Yeah, it could be. But interruption is not only about that.
Okay.
But it could be, And it's what we found is that when we did our study, is that interruption is not always being too aggressive, but aggressive, it could be really the positive things by really showing an increase of engagement. In that sense, But not all interaction. Some interaction is really to bring content.
Okay.
You showed an early experimental result where when you manipulated dominance, then the people reported on friendliness. And did you? I was just curious to know if you manipulate friendliness, will they report on dominance then?
Absolutely.
So how that's so weird.
But it seems.
Does that mean almost to be a devil's advocate? Maybe your signals are crossed, in fact, and that when you think you're manipulating dominance, you really are manipulating friendliness.
Yes, it could. Another way is to show that those two dimensions are not orthogonal.
Yeah.
And I say, because you have, for example, another dimension we looked at is warmth and competence, and that studies have shown those are not orthogonal at all. You change in one dimension, will affect the perception on the other dimensions. And this is what we found. And it kind of makes sense. If you're very dominant, it's not so easy to be the most friendly person. Right. So it doesn't look too strange as a result.
Okay.
But I can agree, especially that here we did some comparison. For example, I didn't show it, but when we evaluated the neutral, so we had a neutral as dominance and a neutral for the friendliness. So we got the data and this, and we could find that the agent has already some values, and it could be that the quality of animation you see there is that it could be that it's difficult for us to appear more dominant or more friendly, whatever. It could be that, but nevertheless. We found a difference, so we were interested in comparison. Okay, but for sure, I wouldn't say if you want to appear dominant or friendly, look like that. I wouldn't say that. But if you want to make a change, it seems that the study showed that it did work somehow. Yeah.
So let's thank our speaker once again.